The president wants to give you $2,000 via a tariff dividend, but if you checked out his tweet here, there is something very interesting, I would argue quite suspicious, that is very telling here, and I don't think that's gonna happen. And it just, you use your brain here, and it's here in the tweet. So, or the truth, whatever it is that you want to, let's just break it down. Okay, so let's start off with what happened. We started with the big beautiful bill. That is the thing that cut taxes earlier this year. However, anytime you cut taxes, you are lowering your salary as a country, which means that you take on debt. Now, according to his tweet here, and I think we all know this, and I've done videos on this too, right? The whole point of the tariffs, or one of the points of the tariffs, was to use the money generated from the tariffs to do what? Pay down the $37 trillion debt. Okay? The reason why this is important right now is, number one, a tariff is a tax. A tariff is a tax increase. And a tariff is a tax on you. The problem here, the biggest problem, is Scott Bassinet came out on Monday and said this, right? He said that, well, you're probably not going to get a check, right? We're not going to just issue checks like a stimulus like we did back in, pandemic days. It's more so through the tax cut, no tax on tips, stuff like that. That's what the tariff dividend is. Stay with me here, okay? The tax cut can't be a dividend that was paid for by the tax increase, which is known as a tariff. Let me say it one more time. The tax cut that they passed cannot also be the tariff dividend, because the tariff was a tax increase. Those two things cannot be the same. We know that tariffs are a tax on you. You've seen what these prices have done, but also this is currently in the Supreme Court right now. They're arguing this right now in the Supreme Court because we know that Congress is the one that is supposed to levy taxes and have the power to do that. So this seems to be like very circular logic, in that you cut taxes, you increase the debt, and now to pay off the debt, you're charging tariffs, and then saying that because we cut taxes, that's a benefit to you by charging you more tariffs. And it's just like, we're using that to also pay down the debt, but also I'm giving you that money back because I cut taxes. And it's just like, it just like goes back around in a circle, and nobody's actually getting paid, and the debt's not actually getting paid off. And in fact, yes, it's the $37 trillion in debt, but you're only raising $3 trillion over the next 10 years for the tariffs. That's on the high end. So the tariffs were never going to pay off the debt anyway, because 37 trillion is not the same as just 3 trillion. So the math never made sense. None of this actually makes sense here in terms of paying off the debt using tariffs, which is what I have said months and months ago, which is why I didn't think none of this actually was going to work, right? And no, you haven't seen manufacturing come back. In fact, we've seen record layoffs. In fact, I did a video, short here not too long ago, around how this has not only been one of the worst job markets, around how layoffs and firings are at its worst point in more than 20 years. So no, that is not how this entire thing works. So I don't think we're going to see that work, right? And if we were to see a true dividend, like a true check being cut towards people, everybody would like that, right? Everybody would like an additional $2,000. Now, if we were to see a true paycheck of $2,000 for most Americans, sure, everybody would like that. But again, you run right back into the inflationary problem that we saw not too long ago during the inflation era, but also during some of the COVID era, where prices shot back up. I'm not sure that is a position that we would want to be back in. And also, does that not cause more debt as well? Because where are we going to find that money to? I don't see a true way, a logical way in which this is going to truly work out. Some people are going to call this a distraction from whatever that is outside of the scope of this particular channel. But my job is to sit down and break down the stock market and the economy and taxes and things like that, which this does fall squarely into that purview. But this does not make any logical sense. I can tell you what does make sense though, is the Building Bread Brief. That is our newsletter that I put out every 2 weeks, and I go into deep, detailed analysis about what is going on in the moment and make it clear. Okay, I help you see the stock market and the economy clear. It's totally free. You can sign up at buildingbread.com/news. I've already got some really good feedback, which is great. And you can just reply back to that email. Say, hey, I really like this. Or can you add X, Y, and Z? So we'll see what we're going to talk about this week, because it was so much that happened just in the last 48 hours. And by the time you see this video, hopefully nothing else crazy happens. But we will see, because the shutdown is also in flux. So we'll see where that goes as well. But if you want to know more about tariffs and what that means for the stock market and what it means for the economy, we've got several videos on how that works. You can check out those videos right here.